So for Michelle's marshmallow test, let's make this hypothesis very simple for us. Let's say that our hypothesis is that children who eat the marshmallow and don't wait are more likely when they're adults to to I don't know to have drug use, more drug use. Okay. The hypothesis is kids who eat the marshmallow when they're 4 are more likely to use drugs when they're adults. That's the hypothesis. First, how many variables are in that hypothesis? The answer is 2. There are 2 variables in that hypothesis. They are your self-control, whether or not you ate the marshmallow. So self-control when you're 4 and drug use when you're an adult. Those are the 2 variables. All right. So let's go ahead and draw those now. 2 conceptual variables. They are self-control and drug use. The next question is this an experiment or correlational design? This is a correlational design. Now, the reason we know is because correlational designs, we measure one thing and then measure another thing. So, for example, the way we've measured self-control is, did they eat the marshmallow? Did the 4-year-old eat the marshmallow or wait to eat the marshmallow? That was not a manipulation. We know it was not a manipulation because we, the researchers, did not force the kids to either eat the marshmallow or not eat the marshmallow. That's the way they measured their self-control. And then when they were grown up, they asked them about drug use. In this case, I'm almost positive it was just a question, how much do you use drugs? All right. This is a correlational test, which means that we cannot assume that the self-control when you're 4 years old causes the drug use. That means that the connection between these two, we need to have it going both ways. Now, in real life, obviously your drug use when you're an adult doesn't cause a change in your self-control later on, but it could be that drug use and the self-control of eating the marshmallow at 4 could be caused by some other variable that's not being demonstrated here. This is a correlational design. We have a measurement. Eating the marshmallow and not eating the marshmallow is a measure of your self-control. And then I ask how many drugs you use. That's a measurement of drug use. We cannot assume that one thing causes the other in a correlational design because correlation doesn't equal causation. That's why the arrows are going both ways in those 2 circles, because we cannot be sure that the self-control is causing the drug use. It could be a common cause, it could be something else. All right. Let's talk about construct validity. What would be a possible question of construct validity? In this case, the question of construct validity is, does the operationalization really operationalize what it's supposed to? And we have 2 operationalizations here. We have one measurement of self-control and another measurement of drug use. So we're asking over here in self-control, does eating a marshmallow or waiting to eat a marshmallow, does that measure your self-control when you're 4 years old? Is that an effective measure of self-control? That is a question of construct validity. The other question of construct validity in this study is, does asking how much drugs you use really measure your drug use? Now, in this case, that's probably the bigger question of construct validity, because if you just ask somebody, are they really going to tell you the truth or are they going to tell you a lie? That would be a question of construct validity. Statistical validity would be, did they run the correct statistic? In this case, did they run the correct correlational test in order to find the association between self-control when you're 4 and drug use when you're an adult? And then internal validity would not be a question here because we are not looking at an experiment. We're not saying that self-control causes drug use. So there's not a question of whether or not self-control causes drug use. This is a correlational study. That is not what's being asked here. External validity would be, does this association happen outside of this particular study, right? Does self-control when you're young affect drug use when you're old? Are those associated with each other outside of the confines of this particular study. One last example that we need to do.